Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Shri Radha Radhana ki, Shri Shri Radha Madhava ki. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrakacharya Stotra Shata Shri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki, BBT founder Srila Prabhupada ki, ISKCON Sanstapakacharya Srila Prabhupada ki, Mantra Upasaka Srila Prabhupada ki, Senapati Bhakta Srila Prabhupada ki, Save of the whole world Srila Prabhupada ki, Preeminent Shiksha Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Jaya Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrakacharya Stotra Shata Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki, Premsa Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki, Shri Shri Gopa Gopinath Shamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan ki, Shri Vrindavan Dham ki, Shri Mayapur Dham ki, Ganga Maya ki, Yamuna Maya ki, Tulsi Maharani ki, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki, Gaura Premananda. All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 17, entitled Maharaj Prithu becomes angry at the earth. We're reading text number 28. Evam manyumayim murtim Evam manyumayim murtim Kritantam iva bibratam Kritantam iva bibratam Pranata pranjali praha Pranata pranjali praha Mahi sanjata vipatu Mahi sanjata vipatu Eva manyumayim murtim Kritatam eva bibratam Pranata pranjali praha Mahi sanjata vipatu Eva manyumayim murtim Kritantam eva bibratam Pranata Pranjali Praha Mahi Sanjata Vipatu Evam Das Mayu Mayim, very much angry, Murtim, form, Krita Antam, death personified, Yamaraj, Eva, like, Bibratam, possessing, Pranata, surrendered, Pranjali, with folded hands, Praha, said, Mahi, the planet Earth, Sanjata, arisen, Vipatu, trembling in her body. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki. At this time, Prithu Maharaj became exactly like Yamaraj, and his whole body appeared very angry. In other words, he was anger personified. After hearing him, the planet Earth began to tremble. She surrendered, and with folded hands began to speak as follows. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is death personified to miscreants and the Supreme Beloved Lord to the devotees. In Bhagavad Gita 10.34, the Lord says, Mrityu sarva haraschaham, I am all devouring death. Faithless unbelievers who challenge the appearance of God will be delivered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead when He appears before them as death. Hiranyakashipu, for example, challenged the authority of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the Lord met him in the form of Nishingadev and killed him. Similarly, the planet Earth saw Maharaj Prithu as death personified, and she also saw him in the mood of anger personified. Therefore, she began to tremble. One cannot challenge the authority of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in any circumstance. It is better to surrender unto Him and take His protection at all times. Om Agyana Timrandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yana Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Stapitam Yana Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Be'evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priya Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivas Hari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. The verse again. At this time, Prithu Maharaj became exactly like Yamaraj, and his whole body appeared very angry. In other words, he was anger personified. After hearing him, the planet Earth began to tremble. She surrendered with folded hands, and with folded hands began to speak as follows. In text 11 of this chapter, the last word, or last phrase rather, is Loka Pala. Loka Pala means protector of the citizens. As described in this pastime, it is a title that refers to the king. The responsibility of the king is to protect his subjects. Kings of small kingdoms have to execute their duties because it is their responsibility. They set the law for the kingdom, and those kings come under the influence of a more powerful king, who is the king of all kings, the emperor of the world. It is the emperor who sets the standard for the whole world to pursue. Last week we discussed that this planet is not the only place that inhabits life, but there are other worlds that carry life as well. And those worlds also have kings or emperors that rule over the entire world. Those worlds that are in the same region make up a planetary system, and that planetary system has a king that rules over that. In the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, we learn that the lineage of Dhruva Maharaj has come to an end, and now there is no more ruler. There is no more Lokapala, protector of the citizens. So Swayambhuva Manu, the first father of mankind, takes action. He approaches his eldest son to take the throne and become the king. But there is a problem. Swayambhuva Manu's eldest son had taken Naishtiki Brahmachari, that is lifelong celibacy. Traditionally, it's usually the eldest son that inherits the throne after the previous king. But in this case, Swayambhuva Manu's eldest son had become a disciple of Narada Muni and had dedicated his life to the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Swayambhuva Manu's eldest son's name was Priyavrata, and he was the uncle to Dhruva Maharaj. So Swayambhuva Manu was trying to convince Priyavrata to give up his brahmachari and become the king, but Priyavrata refused on the basis that he had taken a vow of lifelong celibacy. In Vedic culture, one of the requirements to become king is to have a wife, and this was something that Priyavrata couldn't have. At that time, Lord Brahma had come and he had settled the matter. Lord Brahma, being the highest authority in the universe, had instructed Priyavrata to break his vow and enter the Grihastha ashram and become king. So Priyavrata had replaced Dhruva Maharaj's lineage as rulers of this planet. But he didn't end there. Later we find that when Priyavrata is retiring, he divides his kingdom amongst his sons. We find out that Priyavrata had given each of his sons an island to rule over. In Sanskrit, the word Dvipa is translated to be island, and Prabhupada, in one of the previous purports, had explained that the planets are described to be islands. In this context, Priyavrata had given each son an entire world to rule over, and his son Agnidara became the ruler of this planet. From this we can infer that Priyavrata had ruled over the entire Jambudvip, the entire planetary system. He was a big-time Lokapala, a big-time protector of the citizens. And above them is an even bigger Lokapala, of which there are 4 that rule over each cardinal point, north, south, east, and west. In some pastimes that relate to the Ramayana, there are a few points that relate to the origins of the Yakshas and the Rakshasas. And some points focus on the leader of the Yakshas, Kuber. Kuber, being a very devout follower of Lord Shiva, had had accumulated lots and lots of pious merit, that he attracted the attention of Lord Brahma. And Lord Brahma had given Kuber the position of Lokapala. It was the first time that a living entity that wasn't a demigod was given the position of a demigod. Kuber became the treasurer of heaven. Coincidentally, if you ever read any Vedic pastimes, Shri Shri Radha Radhana Ki, Srila Prabhupada Ki. Sometimes you will find the mentioning of characters like goblins and hobgoblins. Usually the reference is that of a yaksha. So it's amazing that Lord Brahma had awarded a living entity that cannibalizes other human species as part of their diet the position of a demigod. When His Grace Vijay Prabhu was here giving class, he asked this question about which are the most popular read books in the world, and he answered the Bible, Bhagavad Gita, and Harry Potter. When I was younger, I had watched the Harry Potter movie, and I'm sure other people have seen it as well. So you would have seen in the movie who runs the bank. Those are goblins. In fiction, what are one of the characteristics of a goblin is that they are stingy. If you want someone to keep your money, it's best to leave it with a stingy person. It's guaranteed that your money won't go anywhere because they are too stingy to spend it. Every fiction must originate from something that is true. So Lord Brahma had made the right decision to make Kuber the leader of the yakshas, the treasurer of heaven. When you visit Tirupati, what are you expected to bring to the temple? You must bring money because Balaji needs money. Venkateshwara had taken a loan from Kuber, and now Kuber wants his money back. So Lokapala, protector of the citizens, Kuber had become the fourth Lokapala, and it gave him equal standing to the other three Lokapalas who keep order in the universe. The other three Lokapalas are Indra, Varuna, and Yamaraj. Having complete understanding of the Lokapalas is very important for the king. He has to imbibe the characteristics in his execution of his duty. For example, Indra is the topmost demigod beneath Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. Indra is called a Devraj, king of the gods. And in one lecture by His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Swami, Maharaj had specifically focused on the position of Indra and its uniqueness. Indra is the only demigod that can go against your karma. That is to say, if you are such a pious person with loads and loads of piety, and you are meant to be wealthy, Indra can take it away. Not because of bad karma, but if he feels like it, he can do it. Likewise, if you are completely sinful with zero piety and no wealth, Indra can make you wealthy, not because of good karma, but if he feels like it. He can mess around with people's karma. That's why we find many pastimes where Indra is messing around with the yogis and sometimes Indra can get away with it if the yogi is not powerful enough. No other demigod can do that. They are strictly bound by rules and regulations. So the king embodies the characteristic of Indra, that he has everyone's lives under his control. Not to the same degree as Indra, but at least in his own kingdom. In one of the previous purports, Prabhupada uses the word Nara Deva. Nara means human and Deva means God. So the king is God in human form. Similarly, the king embodies the characteristics of Yamaraj as well. Yamaraj is in charge of passing judgment amongst the pious and impious. For those who do good, Yamaraj sends them off to enjoy their good karma. And for those who have done bad, he sends them to the hellish planets for punishment. In one lecture by Radhanath Swami Maharaj, he was pointing out that Yamaraj is a pure devotee. He is a Mahajan. Yamaraj is an authority in devotional service. He is very soft-hearted. Yamaraj is the kindest person with the cruelest job. But Yamaraj is also Dharmaharaj. He is fair in judgment and has no personal motivation. If you are deserving of 10 slashes by a whip, you won't get any less and you won't get any more. You will get exactly 10. The king embodies this trait for citizens who are law-abiding, and for those who do meritorious deeds, the king rewards them. And for criminals, it is the duty of the king to punish them befitting the crime. By giving the good citizens what they deserve, and by giving the bad citizens what they deserve, the king will gain the trust of his subjects. On the other hand, if the king cheats the innocent, he will lose trust of that individual, as well as those who are associated with the victim. In Krishna book, there is a story of the Shamantaka jewel, and that jewel had somehow gotten stolen, and Krishna became the prime suspect. So Krishna, to prove his innocence, had invited the citizens to follow along to find the jewel. Then one thing led to another. They found the thief, but the thief was killed by an animal, and the jewel was still missing. So they tracked down the animal, and the animal that had killed the thief was also killed by someone, and the jewel was still missing. Eventually, they found the trail leading to a cave, and Krishna went to search the cave, and he ended up fighting with a person named Jambavan for several days. After Jambavan had surrendered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it was discovered that Jambavan had found the jewel with the animal that he had killed, and he gave the jewel to his child to play with. Later on, Krishna had proved that he was innocent and wrongly accused. If a king had really done wrong by cheating someone who is innocent, it will definitely lead to the citizens losing trust in the king. This is more so if a king pardons criminals that deserve to be punished. In our modern society, where everyone has human rights, in our minds we think that the human rights are meant to protect us in some way or other. In reality, what happens is that human rights actually protect those who are criminals. If someone invades your house and you successfully defend yourself, and the criminal gets hurt, you as the victim will be charged for battery because you put your hands on the criminal and the criminal got hurt. You have violated the criminal's human rights. You might be jailed, fined, or sued. In this society, who can really trust the government when the leaders aren't able to properly carry out justice? So Prithu Maharaj is described here as taking the role of Yamaraj and is executing justice as it should be carried out. We find also that Prithu Maharaj is very angry. He has become like anger personified. It didn't start like that. Prithu Maharaj originally knocked an arrow to his bow and pointed it to the ground. He wasn't angry when he did that. It is only when Bhumi felt threatened that she started running away. And because she started running away, Prithu Maharaj became angry. And after Bhumi was making one excuse after another, Prithu Maharaj became even more angry that Bhumi started to tremble. Nrsingadev's appearance is coming up very soon. And we see that even Prabhupada has started talking about Nrsingadev. It is appropriate to associate Prithu Maharaj's anger with Nrsingadev. Nrsingadev is the form of Krishna's anger. And Nrsingadev was very, very angry at the atrocities committed to his pure devotee, Prahlad Maharaj. And even after killing Hiranyakashipu, Nrsingadev's anger didn't subside. The demigods were so afraid of Nrsingadev's anger that they didn't dare to appear before him. Even Lakshmi, who is the consort of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, didn't dare to approach Nrsingadev. She didn't know how to relate with her relationship with the Lord in this mood of anger. So Bhumi has realized that she cannot evade the anger that is empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And she has chosen to surrender. That is the only option. In the West, there is a saying, if you can't beat them, join them. Who can really beat Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in anything? It's most appropriate to surrender. Rakhe Krishna Mareke, Mare Krishna Rakeke. Srila Prabhupada would say that the children in the Gurukuls will like to sing this verse. If Krishna wants to save you, nobody can kill you. And if Krishna wants to kill you, nobody can save you. So Bhumi has made the right choice to surrender to Prithu Maharaj. I'll stop over here. Any questions or comments? Yes. In Brahma's day, there are different manvantaras, different fathers of mankind. And each time a father of mankind changes, the demigods also change. So not all Indras are the same. The first Indra was known as Yagya, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And we are currently living in the 7th Manvantara under Vaivashvata Manu, who is the son of the sun god. And this Indra, his name is Purandar. So many of the pastimes that you see about his frivolous activities is usually related to him. In the Mahabharata, when Arjuna had won the Swayamvara and Draupadi's hand in marriage, he had brought her home to meet his mother. And at that time, when Arjuna introduced Draupadi by saying that he brought a surprise for her, and his mother, Queen Kunti, told him to share it with his brothers. And so it eventually ended up with Draupadi getting married to the 5 Pandavas. And in that scenario, in that pastime, Vyasadeva is making this point that each Pandava in his previous life was an Indra. And we can just see in the behavior of each Pandava that they have different personality, they have different behavior patterns. Just by understanding Yudhishthira's behavior, you'll know that he won't engage in frivolous activities like that. So why the current Indra is like that? Well, that's hard to say, but the idea is that one cannot go to a place that is highly surrounded by material enjoyment and not be influenced by it. So even though Indra is the king of the heavenly planets, he is also influenced by material enjoyment. That sometimes he forgets that he is a devotee of Krishna. We see this in the pastime where Indra brings rain to Vrindavan. And it's only afterwards that Indra realizes that he's made a mistake, and then he comes and he apologizes to Krishna. Like that. Is that okay? Any other questions or comments? Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki? Srila Prabhupada ki?